Hello, and welcome to my podcast on current world events and security issues. This is my first episode. So today we're going to be looking at the issue with Turkey. What is the deal with Turkey? So first, a little bit of historical background. Turkey at one point was, of course, the center of the Ottoman Empire, which at its height ruled not only Anatolia, but all of northern Africa, the Middle East, parts of Central Asia, and much of southeastern Europe, all the way, in fact, up to their high point when they, I believe, twice besieged Vienna. Um, After that, there was a series of rise of other kingdoms, and the Ottoman Empire was slowly rolled back, but was still a potent and large empire during the First World War when they were uh, defeated eventually and by a coalition of various Western countries like Britain, and Turkey had sided with the Germans, but Turkey itself was not actually invaded until after World War One. So in the history books, we're told that World War One ended on the 11th of November at the 11th hour at the 11th minute. True, but then the fighting actually resumed not long afterwards. You could call it a very failed peace, and the fall of the Turkish Empire created chaos and of the Ottoman Empire, and the Western powers, including Britain, France, and Greece, desired to invade and carve up Turkey and the old Ottoman Empire and turn it into various Western bastions, some of them Christian. During this time, the later part of the war, you have the Armenian genocide, where the Ottoman Empire, facing terrible defeats against the Russians, massacred something in the order of a million and a half, at least a million and a half Armenians. Turkey today will not admit in any way, shape, or form that there was genocide. The nearest that they've come is to say that 200,000 died because of disease and local ethnic strife, and it's a huge bone of contention between Armenia and Turkey. But brings us to the present day. So here's Turkey. Turkey is a NATO ally. Why is Turkey a NATO ally? Because this was, until 1991, the Soviet Union, which occupied, of course, all of the stands, and Georgia and Armenia. So this is Soviet Armenia, Soviet Azerbaijan, um, and this was the southern flank of the Soviet Union. And Turkey was allied to, is allied, technically still to NATO, which means that we have NATO forward operating bases uh, and resources right up underneath the Black Sea. And this is something that, of course, always um, was very threatening to the Soviets. 1991, the Soviet Union's gone, Russia's back. Everyone goes their own separate ways. Um, and in the years after, you have the rise of Erdogan in Turkey. And the problem is Erdogan is taking Turkey into a vastly different direction than it's been in the past. And after a failed coup, which he may or may not have engineered a few years ago, um, he is turning Turkey into a hardline Islamic country. That seems to be his goal. At one point, Turkey was being considered for entry into the EU. That seems dead. And now Turkey is openly receiving um, people listed as worldwide terrorists from the west, from Gaza, um, as almost as of state visitors with royal accord practically to Turkey. And this is alarming the United States, Europe, Israel. Turkey is taking a strong, strong anti-Israel turn, whereas before they used to have a lot of shared cooperation. Turkey has come out very, very strongly against peace between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. So here's the issue here. Turkey controls the straits. If you look in here, this is here and here. Um, this is the only outlet for the Russians and the Russian Black Sea Fleet, which is up in here, or really up in here. A few years ago, Russia invaded and seized Crimea and then started a war in eastern Ukraine, which is still going on, a separatist struggle. And the Russians have been making overtures towards Turkey. The Russians have been selling Turkey advanced anti-aircraft missiles. But Turkey is a NATO ally, and so it looks really, really bad for Turkey to buy essentially enemy weaponry from a country they're supposed to be helping guard against. That's a big, big, big problem, and it's caused a huge rift. Um, what are Turkey's goals? That might be anything. That's the problem here. Turkey is under Erdogan, um, has no recognized uh, border officially with Armenia. There are no official diplomatic relations with Armenia. The border gates have been closed since I believe the 1990s. This is over the Armenian conflict with Azerbaijan in Nagorno-Karabakh, which is this right here, which I believe Armenia occupies, but there are very few ethnic Armenians in there. The Azerbaijanis won it back. This is a powder keg of epic proportions that has simmered hot and cold since the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. It's very, very troubling. Um, Russia, of course, has designs. Russia invaded in 2006 this area here. This is South Ossetia, I do believe, and they now hold it. It's a strategic high ground. They made quite a mess in Georgia. The Armenians are Armenian Christians, and they feel close kinship in many regards to with the Russians and Russian Orthodox Christianity. Turkey seems to be moving very strongly towards a strong Islamicist movement. I don't know. I can't really predict where the direction of that is going, but they have their move against Israel in terms of the rhetoric that's been coming out recently has ratcheted up intensely. They're really, really, really angry with Israel and with the UAE. Remember, Turkey controls half of Cyprus. Um, it's a simmering issue, a very strong issue with Greece. Greece is also a NATO ally. Um, this makes things even more interesting. Uh, Remembering back to after the First World War, what I mentioned is you had essentially Greece and Britain and France and Italy, in essence, invaded Turkey. The the old the old the um, Ottoman leader, he ended up trying to hold together his small remaining government, and at the same time there was a nationalist movement brewing, and he did not want that because it threatened him. He tried everything he could do to sideline them, but in the end, everything fell apart, and there was a major invasion and occupation of many parts of Turkey, um, and it led to open fighting. And I believe in the end, somewhere on the order of 200,000 plus people died. And this is what they don't teach you in the history books. This happened after World War One, and yet it involves a great power. So in some ways, you could say World War One did not end with the peace treaty, which was 1919, but actually heated up in some regards, and it got very, very bloody. In the end, the the Western powers and Greece failed, failed miserably. The Turkish nationalist movement succeeded, and modern day Turkey was born. So it did not resolve, though, many of these issues. There's political parties in Armenia that have helped tank some of um, the attempts at negotiations between Armenia and Turkey, because they claim an area called historical Armenia, called Western Armenia, of which now there are pretty much no Armenians left. They've all been removed, but that's this area in here, and that historical Armenia is much larger, actually, even than that. It encompasses a great deal more. You could look that up separately, but some of the people in those parties within the Armenian government, um, they would like to see a return and reparations, and the Armenian government has no official demands or desires for that. So that's an internal issue, but when it's come up, it's gravely offended Turkey. Um, Turkey is deeply involved in northern Syria and northern Iraq. Turkey does not want the formation of a Kurdish state in northern Iraq and Syria. They believe that Kurdish state would also encompass parts of southern Turkey. They've been fighting a guerrilla war against them, been fighting a guerrilla war for many years. It's claimed a lot of lives on both sides. It's very, very serious. So now in northern Syria, you have the Turks, the Syrians, the Russians, the Iranians, ISIS, um, and Al Qaeda, and different anti-Syrian, anti-Russian, and anti-Iranian groups, plus the United States I believe, up in the northeast. Sometimes the Turkey troops are patrolling with the Russians, sometimes not. Sometimes they shoot at their planes, sometimes not. It's it's a mess. It's like a tangled web of crap. And er, Erdogan, sorry, seems to have a desire to take some of these several 100,000 refugees that ran for their lives from Syria and resettle them in parts of northern Syria that the Kurds would consider their traditional homeland, and to defeat not only to defeat any hope of a future Kurdish homeland, but to Arabize that area. And that's just it's a mess. He's promised them these luxurious accommodations where there essentially is nothing, and he seems to be trying to make it happen. Of course, those refugees don't come from that area, have no connection to that area. We know what happens when you take lots of people and put them somewhere else where they probably don't belong. It's just create chaos. That might be part of the Turkish strategy. My worry is that very soon, at this rate, Turkey is probably going to be given an ultimatum by NATO and told, you either get with the program or you're out. Um, the situation is becoming that serious, and I don't think Turkey wants to be in NATO any longer. I think the Turkish leader looks down on everyone else but him. I think he's a bully. He despises, I think, the Europeans for their weakness and because they're not Islamic. And that brings up the question, where will this go? Right now, Turkey is backing one side of the endless civil war in Libya, way over here, and that is causing a big problem because Egypt is also backing the other faction in Libya, and they're both starting to flex their muscle. And if Turkey sends troops to here, Egypt is saying it is getting ready to send troops to here, and that would likely draw in other players. Um, we really don't want to see a general conflict between Turkey and Egypt fought either in Libya or in the Eastern Mediterranean. Um, the Greeks are very unhappy about all of this as well. Um, it is a very, very tense and developing situation. Thank you, Obama, for destroying essentially the Middle East. Your Arab Spring has led to nothing but horror and heartache. Uh, it's really as simple as that. So let's say Turkey decides it cares nothing anymore for NATO. It feels that it can get a better deal backing the Russians. Although one has to question that because Turkey has always had historical animosity, strong animosity with the Russians, who historically kept trying to invade parts of Turkey. And they fought many, many wars at one time against the Ottoman Empire. Um, that enmity, I don't think, has ever gone away. But maybe it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The Turks, I think, are in it for themselves. If you were to ask me what I think is going on in the head of their ruler, um, I would say he would like to see not only a greatly revitalized Turkey, but an expanded Turkey. Um, I think his targets for that would be Armenia and Azerbaijan and the oil connections and oil fields of Baku in the Caspian Sea, and maybe maybe some connection to the stands to the east, where there are ethnic Turks still and Turkish speaking people in great abundance. Um, how would that be accomplished? Well, the Armenians will die before they allow Turkey to take them over again and take away their freedom. Things have not been going well in terms of discussions between Armenia and Turkey. Everything has stalled, and in some cases went backwards. Um, Azerbaijan and Turkey are allies. Azerbaijan and Armenia, their war, on again, off again war, is beginning to heat up again. If Azerbaijan and Armenia fought, I think Turkey would take the opportunity to invade. Armenia is essentially the one obstacle that there is to a larger, maybe a let's call it a dream of a pan-Turkish federation. Let's use that word for right now, of the willing and unfortunately unwilling, encompassing what would have been Armenia, Azerbaijan, the southern or mid-Caspian Sea region, and who knows how much to the east, possibly all the way to the Chinese border. Um, I don't know. I do not know. But the situation is certainly growing tenser um, by the day, and the leader there has dreams of glory and greatness that seem to bear no relation to reality. And when you have that, um, you have a large military force under his command, um, and he's geostrategically located. not much good can come out of it. So if we lost Turkey as a NATO ally, it would unleash the Russians to essentially have untrammeled access, uh, warm water access to the Mediterranean. They have access now, but it's under, of course, the guidance of, or the viewing of the Turkish of Turkey. Thank you very much for watching my podcast. Tune in again next time as we cover some strange and interesting and disturbing part of the world. Until then.